Ancient Egypt's secrets of the pharaohs and the civilization that changed history. For over 3,000 years, on the banks of the River Nile, a civilization thrived that would leave an everlasting mark on human history. Ancient Egypt was not just a land of golden sands and towering pyramids, was a world of gods and kings, of mystery and power, of unimaginable achievements that still puzzle modern science. The story of Egypt begins with the Nile, the lifeblood of this great empire. Every year, the river would flood, bringing fertile soil to the land and turning the desert into green farmland. This miracle allowed Egypt to prosper, feeding millions and supporting one of the earliest advanced societies in human history. But Egypt was never just about survival, was about grandeur, ambition, and eternity. At the heart of Egypt's glory were its rulers, the pharaohs. They were more than kings. They were seen as gods on earth, chosen to maintain order in the universe, a concept the Egyptians called Mat. Everything revolved around this divine balance. The rising of the Nile and the prosperity of the people to challenge. The pharaoh was to challenge the gods themselves. One of the earliest and most legendary of these pharaohs was Namr, the man credited with uniting Upper and Lower Egypt. Around 3100 BCE, this unification created the world's first great nation-state. From then on, Egypt's history would be marked by periods of power and brilliance: the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom, each leaving its own legacy of monuments, art, and innovation. Perhaps the most iconic symbol of ancient Egypt is the pyramid. These colossal stone structures were not just tombs. They were statements of power, gateways to eternity. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built for Pharaoh Khufu around 2560 BCE, still stands as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. How were these enormous stones, some weighing more than 80 tons, transported and placed with such precision over 4,500 years ago? Historians and engineers debate this question even today. But pyramids were only part of the story. Egyptian society was a complex system, highly organized and deeply religious. At the top were the pharaoh and his royal family, followed by nobles, priests, and scribes who kept the state functioning. Below them were artisans, farmers, and laborers, ordinary people whose work built the empire. Writing played a key role in this organization. The Egyptians developed one of the earliest writing systems: hieroglyphics, a blend of pictures and symbols used to record everything from royal decrees to sacred texts. Religion dominated Egyptian life. They believed in a vast pantheon of gods: Ra, the sun god; Osiris, the god of the afterlife; Isis, the mother goddess; and Anubis, the jackal-headed god who guided souls to the next world. Death was not the end, but a passage to eternity. And this belief shaped their practices. The process of mummification, preserving the body so the soul could live forever, was one of their greatest achievements. Tombs were filled with treasures, food, and even servants to accompany the dead into the afterlife. Among Egypt's many rulers, few names are as famous as Ramses II, known as Ramses the Great. His reign during the 13th century BCE marked the height of Egyptian power. He built colossal temples, fought legendary battles like the one at Kadesh, and left behind monuments that still inspire. Then there was Akhenaten, the revolutionary pharaoh who tried to replace Egypt's many gods with a single deity, the sun disk, Aten. His reign caused chaos, and after his death, Egypt returned to its traditional beliefs. And who can forget Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, whose intelligence, beauty, and political ambition made her a legend in history. But even the greatest empires fall. For centuries, Egypt faced invasions, internal struggles, and economic decline. Foreign powers from the Persians to the Greeks and Romans eventually conquered this land of wonders. In 30 BCE, after Cleopatra's death and the Roman conquest, ancient Egypt as an independent civilization came to an end. Yet, its influence never truly disappeared. The temples, the art, the ideas, they shaped future civilizations and still capture our imagination today. What makes ancient Egypt so fascinating is not just its grandeur, but its mysteries. How were the pyramids built with such precision? What secrets lie hidden in undiscovered tombs? Why did this mighty civilization, which lasted longer than any other in history, eventually collapse? Even today, archaeologists are uncovering new truths buried beneath the sands. From lost cities to secret chambers inside the pyramids, each discovery adds another piece to the puzzle. And with modern technology like 3D scanning and DNA analysis, we are closer than ever to understanding this ancient world. Ancient Egypt was a civilization obsessed with eternity. And in many ways, they achieved it. Their monuments still stand, their stories still inspire, and their legacy still shapes our world. When you look at the pyramids against the golden sunset of the desert, you are not just looking at stones, you are looking at the dreams of a people who believed they could live forever. This is the story of ancient Egypt, a story of power and faith, of brilliance and mystery. A story that began over 5,000 years ago, yet still refuses to end.